Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to my podcast, Don't Get a Therapist Yet. And today I am talking about positive psychology and to understand how to rewire your brain to actually take in and notice more positive emotions. We're also going to spend a little more time talking about ACT because it's such an amazing therapy and it fits in very well with positive psychology as well. So a very warm welcome to you. So our first thoughts are, why is it that I notice that everything I do, I notice the wrong rather than the right? I notice what goes bad rather than what goes good. I also notice that I might know the theory, but actually putting it into practice is a completely different way of working, isn't it? And another thing I notice is sometimes we talk ourselves to delay, distract, deny, all the D's. So you actually don't get started. There's always a reason or a rationale as why you avoid doing the thing that you know will actually push you forward, but then again, your brain pulls you back. So these are the key things we're going to be looking at today. I hope you find it very, very useful. So ACT stands for ACT stands for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. And it's how to adjust to your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your behaviors, and start moving towards what matters to you. That's ACT. Positive psychology is a science between helping to understand what makes us flourish rather than just function. I love that word flourish. I think it says so much, isn't it? To you, rather than just function, flourish. Love it. And I'm going to be talking a bit about Rick Hanson's work, Hardwiring Happiness, because he's got an awful lot to say about actually focusing more on positivity and positive feelings, positive sensations, positive memories, positive images as well. So he's got a really, really good theory on all these things as well. He actually uses the saying how to literally rewire your brain to be less Velcro for pain and less Teflon for joy. So we tend to stick to the things that actually cause us pain, and things that cause us joy, we just kind of like, whoom, that we forget them. It's a lovely way of looking at things. So in this episode, the plan is to have a simple way to relate differently to painful thoughts and feelings. Isn't that good? To have a values-led action plan. That's ACT, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit more detail. And a daily 30 to 60 second brain training practice to take in the good without actually saying that life is perfect, because it never is, and we're not expecting it to be perfect. So if you notice that you focus on a character flaw, then it's not that there's anything wrong with you. That's just the way our brain works. It's the way we've evolved. Now, this part is called our threat brain. Often it's called our fight or flight brain. You probably know more about that. And it is the most primitive part of our brain. It's an older part of our brain. It's very reactive. But this is designed to protect us. Therefore, it notices threats more than joy or pleasure. You have to stay alive. You might like to go out and have a nice walk or something like that. But if there's a tiger around the corner, you have to deal with a tiger, not just go enjoy the walk. So our brains are always really wired to actually look at threat. So it's great for our survival mechanism, but it's not so good for our peace of mind. So ACT again says what's really important to remember about ACT is you don't have to get rid of all these uncomfortable inner experiences to live a meaningful life. Okay, you move on in spite of them as well. And positive psychology would say, let's actually look at our strengths, our meaning, our engagement and our connection. And I'm going to be speaking a little bit more about that, some really good stuff from there. And then the third element is Rick Hanson. And he says the art is to install beneficial experiences into the brain so that they stick and not slip. So he's got some really good stuff. So most people think I must not think negatively. I've failed if I think negatively. I've got to stop thinking that way. I've got to think happy thoughts. Woo woo, happy thoughts. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so happy. I've got happy thoughts. That is very, very difficult to do. And what often happens is you get a fight into your thoughts. Because boom, 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 here comes a negative thought again, because that's the way our brains are wired. Oh, I've failed again. I've got another negative thought. This is not going to help me. There we are. It's useless. It's hopeless. And give up. I just can't do this. The goal is if I learn to hold my difficult thoughts and my emotions lightly, while deliberately growing the positive. This is a very different way of looking at things. So a little bit more on ACT, acceptance commitment therapy. There are 3 areas we're going to talk about. It's got a lot more to it than this. This is what I'm going to focus on in this particular podcast episode. So the first one is opening up. And the idea is to make room for thoughts and feelings instead of wrestling them. So just acknowledging they're there, okay? We're not going to fight them. We're not going to try and change them. We're just going to notice that they're there, okay? The second point is just to take a step back. Just look at what's going on in your mind. Notice it. Be aware of your thoughts. Be aware that thoughts are thoughts. They're not facts. And you have another way of looking at them is seeing them as mental events that go on in our brain. Okay, so it's almost like observing our thoughts rather than getting engaged and entangled in our thoughts. And the third one is moving towards. So we actually take action. We're guided by the things that we value in our life, what's important in our life, not by our mood. So the first one, acceptance with purpose. So, for example, think of a difficult feeling you've been trying to get rid of lately. So it could be anxiety, guilt, shame, grief, envy, jealousy, all those kind of things. We're all very much aware of those kind of feelings. And then just notice how much time and energy you spend fighting these thoughts. You're either distracting it, you're not having it, you're numbing it down, you're swallowing it, you're denying it, or you do other things like you just focus over there and work, 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 work. So you just go over there and try and ignore it, or perhaps you do the doom scrolling on your phone, just get away from it and just do anything but think of those thoughts. So if you do that, has it worked? Has it given you the life you wanted? So acceptance in ACT is not about liking or approving suffering. It's stopping this extra war that we have with our thoughts. So I'm just going to give you a good example here. So one example is if it feels safe for you, just want you to place your hand on your chest or on your stomach, wherever feels comfortable for you. And then just notice a feeling that's there. Just give it a name. It could be anxiety, it could be pressure, it could be sadness. And just say quietly to yourself, I don't love this feeling, but I'm willing to make a bit of room for it so that I can do what matters. So here, we're just understanding that we can have discomfort. It's allowed to exist, but it doesn't have to run the show. The next step, step back. Cognitive diffusion, this is called. So this is called where we actually see our thoughts as mental events, just thoughts that go through our mind. That's all they are. They're not telling us who we are. They're just things that go on in our mind. So we might have a thought that we're a failure. This is very, very common. I come across this ever such a lot, this belief that we're a failure. So rather than saying, I'm a failure, you then say, I'm noticing the thought that I'm a failure. Okay, can you see the difference there? I'm noticing the thought I'm a failure. Another common one we say to ourselves is, I can't cope. And a diffusion technique from ACT would be to say, my mind is telling me I can't cope. Very, very different. It's a tiny step, but it just gives you that little bit of distance away from the thoughts so that it doesn't encompass you and overwhelm you. So try saying that, see whether you can do a bit more of that. So the next step in ACT is values in action. So giving everything I feel and everything my mind is saying, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? What do I want my life to stand for? So what direction do you want your life to go? So we're not talking about goals, we're talking about just a long-term direction, moving towards. Examples could be, I want to be a really good parent. I want to be a loving parent. I value honesty. I want to be honest with my friends and honest with myself. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to develop. I want to learn. I want to better myself. I want to contribute to society. I want to be a giver. I want to make a difference. And then the next step is, what tiny little action can we do that moves us in that 1% today? Okay, so in this, we don't wait until you feel confident. We do it anyway. We don't wait till you feel calm. We act in line with your values, even if we feel anxious, even if we're still having the thoughts, we still act towards our values. So an example could be, maybe you're at work in a meeting and you want to contribute, you want to give more, you've got ideas, everything like that. You might be extremely anxious. Your thoughts might be going, don't say anything because you're going to sound stupid. Everybody's going to laugh at you. But if you go do the ACT thing, I want to contribute, so I'm going to say something now. And you're going to live your life to values. Okay? So it could be just one sentence, but you've broken that circle. You're not waiting till you're confident. You get the confidence by doing the behavior, by contributing again and again and again. That can really help you to feel confident. But you don't wait until you're because it never happens. You know, if you wait until you're not anxious, that just could take forever because anxiety is a natural state. So we don't wait until we're not anxious. We do it anyway. That's very ACT. The next one I want to talk about is positive psychology, a map for a very rich and engaging life. So here I meant positive psychology, forgive me there, asks, what does a well-lived life actually contain? And it's a little saying from positive psychology called PERMA. So it stands for, P stands for positive emotions. E stands for engagement. That's like flow and absorption. R stands for relationships. M stands for meaning. And A stands for accomplishment. So we're working on these 5 ingredients alongside life's difficulties. So when you act on your values that we actually talked about a minute ago, if you think about your values, you're actually increasing your meaning and your accomplishment. Remember, we talked about contributing in a meeting. So if you act on that, you give your life more meaning because you're contributing, and you feel accomplished because you're giving out as well. When you actually really live your values, you show up fully. You engage yourself in the process. You actually make the most of things. You really commit to what it is. You don't do it half-heartedly. You don't distract. You fully commit. That's engagement. If you have a value where you want to be more loving, be a good caring parent, we talked about that. So there you choose actions which show care, love, kindness, and that's where you grow in relationships. And then The last one, which is actually scientifically proven, which I think is fantastic. Practice savoring and gratitude. Savoring is really being in the moment, really noticing things in the moment. If you have a lovely meal, you savor it. You take time to taste all the food as well. If you're actually out in nature, especially at the moment in autumn, you're savoring all the beautiful different colors. You're really taking in the experience. And you're thankful for the experience as well. You're thankful for nature because it looks so beautiful as well. You're thankful for the person who's made this beautiful meal for you. You're thankful for it. It's somebody has taken care to actually create this beautiful tasting meal. So actually by staying with that, by staying in savoring at the moment and having with gratitude, you'll notice more positive emotions. Um, and the pain might be there, but you're more likely to have positive emotions. So, flourishing is a word which comes from positive psychology. And I love that word. I think it speaks a lot about how we're living life to the full. We're flourishing like a beautiful plant or something like that. You know, we're at our best. And that's something I really, really think we need to all work out more and more, just being at our best, where we actually feel we're showing up and we're engaging in life and we're just taking not notice of these stupid thoughts that are in our head. Okay, so it's about building a meaningful, connected, growth orientated life, even if my feelings aren't always there. Okay, now the last one we're going to talk about is the work by Rick Hack. The last one we're going to talk about is the work done by Rick Hanson, Taking in the Good. So his idea is actually quite simple. Sometimes I think the best ideas are the simplest ones. Remember we talked about this at the beginning? So your brain is biased to protect yourself. You've got the fight and flight system going on all the time, and it's constantly reminding you of your threats. And today, the threats, you might not be eaten by a massive tiger walking down the road, but the threats might be fear of a car coming towards you, or somebody actually threatening of your ego. So somebody laughing at you or ignoring you. That is probably more common nowadays. So it's actually a threat to your sense of self, who you are, your confidence. That's more the case in society now. So it's really important you just hear that. Okay. So remind yourself, oh, that's my brain. There it goes again. Oh, it's just there to protect me. Okay, that's all it is. That's all it's trying to do. And then remember the good by staying with a wholesome experience long enough for these wholesome experiences to sink in. Okay, so how do we do this? 3 steps. Start with a positive experience. We've already talked about a couple. We've talked about walking in nature or having a beautiful meal made for you. Okay, so just notice it. Enrich it. So stay with it for at least 10 to 20 seconds, feeling it fully. So if you're going for a walk in nature, you look around, you really notice the colours, almost use the 5 senses. Notice the beautiful colours. Is there a sound there? Is there a smell? Is there a taste? Maybe not so much if you're going for a nature walk. And what you feel as well. Maybe there's a gentle breeze. Stay with it for 10 to 20 seconds. Really focus on it. And then absorb it. Imagine it sinking in, becoming part of you. So it's almost as though you absorb it like an internal video. You take it in to your own self, okay? You focus on it. With a meal, it's really, really good and very easy, a delicious meal. It's very, very sensory. The look of the meal, the smell of the meal, the taste of the meal, how it makes you feel as well, especially if you're very full of gratitude for somebody making a meal. And just stay with it, stay with that experience. Take your time, enjoy it, savor it. That's basically how Rick Hanson says it. Okay. So Axe says we don't have to wait until the storm passes to live our lives by values. Rick Hanson says we don't have to let the storm erase every trace of blue sky either. So maybe today you feel anxious. Fine. Make room for that anxiety. But at the same time, look around. Is there anything I can take in where I just sort of absorb it more by 1%? Just 1%, that's all we're looking for. Maybe I can savor a beautiful warm drink, my favorite drink, maybe a coffee or a special tea. And again, you can savor the moment. So smell it, taste it, feel the warmth on your hands, really hold that mug. That's really, really nice. Or another one to savor maybe would be a message from someone who cares. Okay, so maybe there is a lovely message you've got on your phone, someone who sort of said, I really care about you, whoever it is. Okay, read the message, look at it again, savor it. Imagine the person giving you that message with a smile on their face. Okay, take it in, absorb it, stay with it. So there are some examples of what you can do. Okay, so just stay with it, and you can just take a breath as well while you're saying that. And pain might still be there. We're not denying the pain. We're not saying you failed if you still feel the pain. We can't take away the pain, but we actually want to make room for other feelings as well, other than the pain. So when you do something aligned with your values, however small, you install it. Okay? So very few small examples you can do on a daily basis. Okay, if your value is I want to be kind to people, okay, you might feel like screaming. You might want to feel like I can't stand this person. Stop, stop, stop. But you take a breath and you try to respond with kindness. And you value yourself. You say, I was kind there. I did a good thing. I stay with that value. It's really, really good. Another value you might have is appreciating beauty or nature. Okay. So you might be very, very busy. You might be stressed. You might be frustrated. You've got to look after the kids. You've got to do your work, blah, blah, blah. It's there all the time. Must work harder. Okay. Allow yourself a 5-minute walk. Just go in and take in the scenery. Just that 5 minutes. Just take it in. And even if you can't go out into some nature or something like that, maybe there's something in your garden you can absorb or look at. Or maybe if you can't get on your garden, maybe you can look out in the window. If you can't do that, maybe you can look at a picture of a beautiful scene that you've actually seen. You've got a photograph or something like that. Okay, you're taking in the good. That's what is really, really important. So another thing you can do is, again, an example of being honest, a value. I want to be honest. I want to be my authentic self. I don't want to go around saying, oh, hello, everyone, lovely, life is fun. I want to say, I want to be more honest. I want to say, yeah, I'm struggling at the moment, but tell people what you're learning, these techniques, but I'm learning to live a values-based life. And people go, what? What's that? And you explain it. Okay. So there may be you may want to engage more in relationships. You want to have more honest relationships. So you might actually have to send that text, which might be a little bit difficult. It might create a little bit of honesty there, but at least you're living your life to your value. You might feel anxious about sending a more honest text. You might worry about the consequences as well. But the idea is actually not to avoid, not to pretend, not to put on a front, just to sort of say, look, I am struggling at the minute. That is more honest. And if you're more honest, you connect better with people, you're more vulnerable, you're more human, and people can relate to the humanness of us. Sometimes we think we have to go, oh, I go to a lot of events and sometimes it's like, where, yeah, positive thoughts, where, and I'm going, where? I thought, oh my goodness, this is hard work. Sometimes you have to be honest, and it's okay to be honest as well. You can have both. You can say, this is great, but it's also hard work as well. Can you see that? It's a bit more authentic. It's a bit more real. It's a bit more you. Another thing you can do is actually perhaps want to be more fully present. That could be another value. I want to actually sort of more engage in life rather than just looking at my phone, doom scrolling. How many people do I speak to about doom scrolling? No. Okay. So when I actually go to my phone, here I go, I'm doom scrolling again. Right. My value is to be a little bit more in the moment. So maybe you'll go and talk to somebody in your family as well, or maybe you'll phone a friend or do something that you feel is a bit more connecting, those positive emotions connecting with people. So you don't go into that behavior where you feel an awful lot worse because you're just reading. Our brains absorb all this negativity all the time, don't they? So, and there's plenty of negativity around. You want negativity, you just have to switch on your radio, your TV, your social media. You will be piled with negativity. Okay. But how does that make you feel? Rubbish. Yeah. So do we need any more negativity in your life? Or can you actually just say, I've got enough, thank you very much. What I'm going to do now is absorb the good. Rick Hanson talks about absorbing the good, taking time to take it in. You're also creating new neural pathways by doing this as well. He talks about that. He gives a really good analogy of the mind is a bit like a garden. Okay. So you have weeds, you have flowers. So the idea really is to take up the weeds and enjoy the flowers. Okay. And that's like negative and positive thoughts. It's a good metaphor. I like that metaphor. Okay. So there's plenty of weeds around. We don't need to focus on weeds, but we do need to actually, another thing you can do in this case is you can just notice the weeds are there. You don't even pull them out because it takes a bit of energy. The weeds might be there, but I'm just going to part them and I'm going to focus on the flowers. Okay. Because they're the beauty. They're the things I want to absorb into my life. I want to absorb them, look at them, enjoy them, experiencing them. And that's the thing that makes me feel good. The weeds are still there, a bit like negative thoughts. They're still there. They're a bit of an irritation, really. I'll get round to cut them down someday. But for the moment, I haven't got time. I'm just going to look at the beautiful flowers. Okay. So all the time you're focusing on what kind of person I want to be. I'm living this life. This is something that I want to be. And it's okay to take small steps. Okay. It's okay just to notice the thoughts that might still be there. It's okay. But step by step, focus on what's important to you. Focus on your values. Focus on your accomplishments. Focus on what's important to you in your life as well. And then focus on instilling that experience for the memory. Okay. So there is a practice that you can actually download with this podcast. See how you get on with that, because it does take practice as well. It's not that easy sometimes when you've got full of these negative thoughts to make room. Okay, just make room for them and then focus on instilling more the positive. Okay, don't worry about the negative. It's always going to be there. It's designed to protect us. That's really important to notice that and actually just kind of like laugh a little bit at how silly our brains are sometimes, aren't they? Mine as well. I've got a very silly brain as well. I include myself in this as well. So I I too have negative thoughts, lots of them all the time, but I am refused to let them determine my life. This is why I'm doing this. Okay. This is why I'm doing it, to help you to actually determine a better life for yourself. Okay. So, a few closing points. Your brain is not broken. It's evolved to be an over prepared for danger, but actually you can change that and focus more on what is good. The thoughts will still be there. We're not going to fight them, we accept them, but we focus more on internalizing what's good. ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, helps you to stop wasting your life on an inner war with all these thoughts and feelings and behaviors and start moving, even if imperfectly, towards what you value. Positive psychology gives us proof that well-being is buildable. We can do this. We can add meaning, engagement, connection, small wins, and really experience joy. Rick Hanson's work shows us that we can literally help our brain to really install and keep the moments of safety, kindness, and strength that are already happening. So you don't have to feel amazing to live meaningful life. You don't have to raise pain to grow positive experiences. Just one small breath, one tiny values-based action, one savoured moment at a time. That is the work. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I hope you subscribe. I hope it's given you a new lease of life. It's just a wonderful thing how we can actually change these things and move towards a positive. That's why I like positive psychology, because it's actually talking about positives rather than challenging the negatives. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.